and brought up in Bombay, now Mumbai. While I was studying architecture during my final year, one of my tutors asked me, "Where do you see yourself 10 years down the line?" And I said to him, "I do not see myself as someone rich or successful, but I definitely see myself living amongst nature and having a lot of fun." In 2009, I moved to England to do my master's in a very interesting program. The program was called MAD with an extra A. This program was headed by David Green and Andrew Holmes, one of the legends in architecture. On my first day in my master's program, Andrew looked at all of us during the introduction session and he said, "I do not want to know your names." It was a 1.5-year program. Andrew said, "I do not want to know your names for the next 1.5 years. I want you all to adopt an alter ego of whoever you like and be that person or a character for the next 1.5 years." So I chose an alter ego. One of my closest friends chose Charlie Chaplin. My other friend chose Marilyn Monroe. I chose this mythological character who is the commute of Lord Ganesha called Kroncha. He's a very not so well-known character, but Kroncha is basically a mouse, a human that got converted to a mouse. Yeah. That is me in the red cape. It's a photo montage that I had created for my master's program. In the red cape, me dressed as my interpretation of what Kroncha would be if he was a female human form. During the entire 1.5 years, we were asked to eat, breathe, talk, live, dress like the character that we were. So we would walk into the black room that was a design studio dressed like this every day, dressed as Kroncha every day. And be like Kroncha, eat what a mouse would eat. So I had to carry my own tiffin box and eat the food that a mouse would eat every day. And halfway during the course, I was told by one of my seniors that though David and Andrew are amazing mentors, they do not give anybody a degree. They were notoriously known not to clear you in the final exam. I decided to take that in my stride, and I spoke with David and Andrew, and I said, "Listen, you're not going to clear me anyway. I'm not going to get a degree anyway. So why don't I go out there and have fun and live Kroncha to the fullest life?" So for me, Kroncha would be a curious character who would not want to be in one place. So I gave up my university accommodation halfway through my course, and I used all my money to buy a tent trailer. So basically a tent that was on wheels. And for the next 6 months, I drove around the whole of England, camping around, meeting interesting people, and living like a human mouse. In the third month, I was on a campsite near the Stonehenge, and I was making sketches of what Kroncha would do if he was living near the Stonehenge, somebody who was so dedicated to Lord Ganesha. So my master's program basically became a mobile temple dedicated to Lord Ganesha, something that moves all over the world. When I finished my course, I was asked to come back to Oxford to give my final jury, and I insisted that if my jurors who wanted to examine me, they wouldn't do it in the black room, but instead they would come inside my mobile tent and see my presentation there. That is me with Andrew and David inside my tent with the projector, me presenting my work for my master's dissertation. In 2012, I decided to come back to India, and I immediately after landing in Bombay, put all my bags in my Jeep and drove down to Goa. 2011 is when Goa literally had no real estate work. But the idea was to be in some place that I resonate with and enjoy being in. I started Studio Momo in 2012 as a sustainable architecture practice. We did a few homes built from scratch, and the idea was to use as many sustainable materials as possible. So we worked a lot with locally available stone, locally available upcycled wood, and as much as possible, lime plaster and locally available material. But around 2015 is when it struck me that our market was really lacking in a lot of material. So that's when we started making our own finishes. So we started making organic beeswax, varnishes, oils, all of this for our own projects so that we could be as sustainable as possible. But then looking around in Goa, I also realized that the most sustainable building that I could ever make is the one that is never built. So for me, the most sustainable building is the one that is never built. And that made me realize that we had so many beautiful Indo-Portuguese houses lying around in Goa, which were deteriorating, falling apart, and no one was doing anything about it. So that's when I decided to get into restoration. I would like to take you through one of the projects that we restored recently, Villa Felicitad. Villa Felicitad, this is a 170-year-old house situated in Asagao in Goa. This came to us in 2018. The Indo-Portuguese houses were built in a very European style of design, and they were not 100% suitable for the Indian climate. So many houses on the inside are dark and dingy and lack a lot of natural light and ventilation. So the first step for me was to puncture the walls and make sure there's a lot of natural light, sun, and cross ventilation happening in a manner that one could be in the house and live happily without having to use air conditioning. These are the walls, the laterite walls. So the old walls of the villa were built in natural stone, laterite local stone, and lime plaster. So this is us redoing the roof, because the traditional roof in Goa is built in wood and natural terracotta tiles. So we wanted to recreate that. We added an attic floor because my client had a 15-year-old son who didn't want to be around with the parents on the ground floor, so we had to create an attic level. This is a staircase, a wooden staircase I found in a junkyard during one of my travels in Gujarat, and we decided to upcycle this staircase instead of making a new one in concrete. We decided to add a central courtyard to the villa because traditional Indian architecture, the South Indian architecture always has courtyards to bring in a lot of natural light and also to create a microclimate. So we added like a Spanish style hacienda Indian courtyard to the house. These are the work in progress pictures. Again, we created the attic floor and punctured a staircase so the son could have a bedroom which was split over 2 levels. Again, the spiral staircase is a restored staircase that we found. To the left is the pieces of the wooden staircase that we had found in the junkyard. So that's how we found it, the picture on the top. And then we restored it and upcycled it and added new parts to make it fit into the space. That's a built-in lime plaster finished bathtub that we created for the master bathroom. We worked with the Goa College of Arts and got mural artists to create a collage in the powder room. This is what the finished house now looks like. This is an old door again that we found, and we've upcycled it for the home. This is what the villa now looks like after completion. So again, in all the bedrooms, we added large openings so that one could have a lot of natural light and ventilation. That's the courtyard that we added to the house. That's it. Thank you.